All right, welcome to the Explainer. Let's jump right in with a pretty wild idea. What if you could actually put a price tag on something like trust? Or get this, what if you could get a real return on your investment for clean water? It sounds kind of out there, right? But today we're diving into a system that's trying to do exactly that. It's all about completely rethinking what we call wealth. I mean, really think about it. How much is clean air worth in dollars and cents? What's the market value of knowing you can trust your neighbors? These are the things that actually make a community thrive. They're the foundation. But our entire financial system, it basically pretends they don't exist. It has no way to even see them, let alone value them. And that right there is the fundamental issue. Look, our economy is really, really good at one thing: pricing stuff we can dig up, cut down, or manufacture. Gigawatts of power, barrels of oil, no problem. But when it comes to the things that support all of that, clean air, social trust, biodiversity, it's completely blind. It's like we're driving a car with the fuel gauge and speedometer, but we've taped over the engine temperature and oil pressure lights. It's a huge, dangerous blind spot. So this blind spot, it's not just a small problem. It's the problem. Because if you don't measure something, you can't manage it. And that's exactly what's happening. We're burning through these invisible assets. We treat our ecosystems and our social fabric like they're free and infinite, all because their value never, ever shows up on a balance sheet.
Okay, so how do we fix this? How do we start seeing the value we've been ignoring? Well, there's a new framework on the block called the Regenerative Capital and Credit System, or RCCS for short. And I want you to try and think about this not as just some other complicated financial tool. It's way more fundamental than that. It's like we're trying to teach our economy a whole new language. And the whole point of this new language is to take all that stuff we called invisible, a thriving ecosystem, a community where people look out for each other, and make it visible. Make it something you can actually measure and, here's the kicker, invest in. The goal is to turn good actions, regenerative actions, into real, tangible assets. Assets that can actually pull in capital and, yes, even make money.
So you're probably wondering, how does this new language actually work in the real world? Well, it's all built around this idea of the 5 capitals. It's a framework that forces us to stop looking at the world with just financial blinders on and instead see the whole complete picture. And here they are. These are the 5 lenses we use to get that full picture. You've got natural capital, that's our planet, our ecosystems. Human capital, that's our health, our knowledge, our skills. And social capital, that's the trust, the relationships that holds our communities together. Then, of course, you add in the 2 our economy's already obsessed with: built capital, like infrastructure, and financial capital. When you put them all together, that's when you get a true 360-degree view of what wealth really is. Okay, let's make this real. We'll start with natural capital. So imagine a farmer decides to reforest part of their land. That action improves biodiversity, it helps the water table, it pulls carbon into the soil. Under RCCS, that positive change gets measured, and the project is issued what's called a natural capital unit, or an NCU. All of a sudden, that ecological healing isn't just a nice story. It's a real, verifiable asset on the books. And it works the exact same way for people, for human capital. Let's say a project funds a new health clinic or a skills training program. That direct investment in the community's well-being, it generates human capital units, or HCUs. And this is a huge shift, right? Because now helping people isn't just a cost or charity on a spreadsheet. It's recognized as the creation of a valuable asset that can attract even more investment.
Now, this next one, social capital. This might be the most revolutionary piece of the whole puzzle. The system literally finds ways to measure and reward things we thought were immeasurable, like trust, like community engagement, like honoring indigenous rights. So a project that's developed with the local community in partnership, it actually earns more social cohesion units, or SCUs. You're creating a direct financial incentive to build a society that's stronger, fairer, and more connected.
Okay, this is all fascinating. We can measure all this new stuff, but the big question is, so what? Who actually benefits from all this? Well, the whole point is that it's designed to be a win-win-win. It creates this positive feedback loop where doing good things actually pays off for everybody at the table. Because look, for something this ambitious to actually take off, it can't just be good for one group. You've really got 3 key players here, right? You've got the investors who bring the money, the communities who are on the ground making the change happen, and the regulators who need to make sure it's all legit. And let's be honest, usually those 3 groups are pulling in different directions. The genius here is that RCCS is built to get them all pulling in the same direction.
So let's talk about the investors first. For them, this is a game changer. It's not just some niche impact fund. This creates a whole new institutional-grade asset class. We're talking serious, competitive returns. They're targeting somewhere in the 8 to 20% range. And here's the best part. Because you're investing in projects that make places more resilient, you're naturally lowering your exposure to climate and social risks. It's a smarter, safer way to invest. Now, what about the communities? This is where it gets really powerful. Yeah, they get money for local projects and they get a piece of the revenue, which is great, but it's so much more than that. They get a real seat at the table, a real voice in their own future through co-governance. It totally flips the script from them being passive recipients of charity to being active drivers of their own prosperity. And finally, for the regulators, what do they get out of it? Well, they get the one thing they've been desperate for: good data. Real, transparent, finance-grade, auditable data. It means they can finally truly verify if a country or a company is meeting its climate promises or social goals. It's a way to cut right through all the empty promises and greenwashing. All right, I know what some of you are thinking. This all sounds a little too good to be true. How do we know people won't just find a way to cheat the system? And you know what? That is exactly the right question to be asking. And the answer is that the system has this really clever, built-in anti-greenwashing engine. It's called temporal intelligence. This is really the secret sauce. It's what makes the whole thing trustworthy. See, it doesn't just give you a cookie for one single good action. No, no. First, it measures improvement. Is the situation getting better over time? Then it tracks momentum. Are you getting better faster? It rewards durability. Is this change going to last, or will it vanish next year? It values good governance. Are you working with the community? And this is key. It starts by automatically deducting for uncertainty. The system holds back some of the value until the results are proven, beyond a shadow of a doubt. It is designed from its very core to reward only real, lasting, verifiable change. I think this quote just nails it. For so long, in the world of finance, doing good things for the planet or society has been seen as IRR friction. That's just finance speak for a cost that hurts my returns. It's something you have to do, but it slows you down. What this system does is it completely flips that logic on its head. It takes that friction and turns it into the asset itself. And it does it with a kind of breach-proof math and clear audit trails that big institutional investors absolutely require. So let's just pull back for a second and look at the big picture here. What does all of this really mean? If a system like this actually scales up, we're not just talking about creating a new thing for investors to buy. We're talking about the potential for a fundamentally different kind of economy. And that's really the thought I want to leave you with. What truly becomes possible when our financial system, the engine of our world, can finally see and account for the things that actually make a world thrive? What would it look like to have an economy that actively heals instead of just extracts? An economy that finally knows how to value the invaluable. It's a huge idea, but it's one that might just be starting to happen. Thanks for tuning in.